Hi guys, my name's Izzy Gehring, and I'm going to be presenting on Abraham Maslow and the hierarchy of needs. So first, we will start with some background on Maslow. So he was born in 1908 in Brooklyn, New York, to Russian immigrants from Jewish background, and he often spoke of how his childhood was very lonely, so he spent much of his time in his neighborhood library just focusing on his own self introspection. He studied law at the City College of New York before transferring to University of Wisconsin, where he earned his bachelor's, master's, and doctorate in psychology. So his career and interests. So in his career, he worked at Brooklyn College. He was a member of the school faculty from 1937 to 1951. He also produced many academic journals during this time and beyond that time. He had an interest in humanistic psychology. He was one of the founders and driving forces. His theories, including the hierarchy of needs, which we will talk about today, self-actualization, and peak experiences became fundamental subjects in the humanist movement. He had an interest in self-actualization. So this is the full use and exploitation of talents, capacities, potentialities, etc. And this is an ongoing process in which people continue to stretch themselves and achieve new heights of well-being, creativity, and fulfillment. And then he finally had an interest in positive psychology, which pioneered a positive take on mental health among psychologists, which was not very common at the time. So his interest in human potential, peak experiences, and the improvement of mental health and personal growth had a lasting influence on psychology. So this is the hierarchy of needs. This is a theory of his that we will be talking about. So it has 5 different needs, starting with the most basic one to the highest one that's the hardest to achieve. You must attain the 4 bottom one, each one, to get to the next one. So Maslow says that first you must achieve needs of physical needs, then the needs of security, social needs, needs of ego, and then you can reach the needs of self-actualization. And for self-actualization, these are the needs that must be met through attaining all of the others, and it's supposedly when one can start working to meet their own ultimate goals. So there are many criticisms and failures of this theory because there is no evidence of any experimentation or empirical research that can be found behind his conclusion on the hierarchy of needs. Because the reason for this is because of the lack of research. It was based on his own self-actualization. As he spent a lot of time, when he was young, just like focusing on his own self-introspection, he was able to come to these conclusions on his own and just from observing other people. But because there's no evidence behind them, it's very difficult to test the theory because it's very difficult to find evidence supporting a theory based on no evidence. And it's also difficult to test this theory and apply it on a global level because Maslow really failed to consider other cultures because he really focused this in as the needs built around being a white, intelligent American man, and not the fact that on a global level, different cultures have different exceptions, and they may work toward community goals instead of self-actualization. However, there are many accomplishments from the hierarchy of needs. It's very well respected and implemented throughout modern society. It's actually very useful in medicine, business, and economics. I even remember learning about it in my own English class. It has been shown that one can fulfill the concept of self-actualization without other, basic quote-unquote needs being 100% fulfilled. So one can reach the idea of self-actualization even if that means they don't have all of the needs of their ego being met, per se. This theory helps psychology move toward a movement of researching human happiness and development rather than mental illness, as during the time when Maslow created the hierarchy of needs and was working toward positive psychology, they were still really focusing on Freudian theories, and they were mostly just looking at mental disease and illness. And it still stands as one of psychology's greatest theories, and it's one of the most well known. So that is all I have today. Thank you.